Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only sports podcast, sponsored by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Global Septic, and AmeriCool Heating and Cooling. I'm Aaron Van Tile, joined tonight by Chronicle sports editor Alec Dietz and Chronicle sports reporter Josh Kirschenbaum. And fellas,
if you
how
ask
do we
us if we're in the
feel?
Endgame again, I swear to God.
Are you Iron Man? What are we doing here?
What snap his fingers. That's what he's about to do. Eliminate half our football teams.
Yeah, that is kind of what happened.
Yeah, it is.
We're not in the Endgame.
Before we get to the game-by-games, do you have any quick reactions of biggest surprises of this weekend's games? Nothing really jumped out at me as being like, oh, wow, oh, my God.
I was surprised Toledo got shut out.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that was... I just figured they'd kind of chug along, and I didn't know if they would, win, but I just figured they would be able to control the ball better than they did. So that was kind of a surprise.
Same thing with Onalaska. I was surprised WF West looked as good as it did. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They won that easily.
Was half of the games.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Such is the nature of the postseason.
A lot of surprise.
I would like to say that before we get to this particular game, the PWV Raymond South Bend game, the over-under on that was 47. Score was 34-13.
Yes.
Pretty good work there by the line setters.
Wow.
Here at Chronicle headquarters.
Line setter.
Great stuff. Anyway, we'll jump into
Is that the only one you want to mention? What about all the other ones?
Well, I wrote the rest of them down, and then Josh erased that portion of the notes. So
I think the Napavine over-under was 40.
It was 42.5.
Yeah.
And it was
terrible.
what, 55?
55 to 7.
62.
Yeah, way off.
By 20 points.
Terrible work.
Just
At least they covered.
Yeah. Napavine, if anything, they cover.
They are cover
Great
machines.
teams cover.
We'll start with 2A football. And WF West is in the 2A semifinals after beating Cedro Woolley 31-14. Josh, based on your note, I really thought you'd be hitting the air horn there. There it is. The Bearcats scored in 4 of their 5 first-half possessions. Gavin Fugate hit 23 of 33 pass attempts for 294 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. He also ran in 2 touchdowns. Gage Brumfield was the leading receiver with 158 yards on 8 catches. He had 2 scores. And Tucker Land had 8 catches for 77 yards and 9 carries for another 41 yards. This is the second trip to the semifinals in WF West history. The last one was in 2011. That was the Mitch Geller senior year. They lost to Linden in the semifinals. And they will face number 3 North Kitsap in Tumwater on Saturday. Fellas, can they win this one?
Yeah?
Yeah. I like it. We have, writing out the notes, I realized that we have 3 sections to this, and all of them are going to mention that WF West is playing North Kitsap in Tumwater on Saturdays. So
We
can maybe save that one for a little bit later. They looked really good. I was surprised. I was very busy for their first round game at volleyball watching Alex live tweets of their game against Ephrata, I did not expect them to come out and just lay a hammer down on a Cedro Woolley team that laid a hammer down on Tumwater. Their offense just did everything it wanted to. I was surprised a little bit that everything the offense wanted to didn't really involve running the ball. Mm-hmm. For as good as their line has been, they basically took the middle runs out of their playbook with a couple exceptions until the fourth quarter there, and just basically threw swing pass left, swing pass right, wide receiver screen, and then hit him over the top. And Fugate was really efficient doing that. And the wide receiver group had, I think, 5 guys finished with catches, and they all did their job really well.
Okay. Alec, thoughts? You surprised by what the Bearcats were able to accomplish on the field?
Yeah, I think, one, this tells us that Ephrata was probably not a 15 seed.
Probably.
So there might have been some, East Side disrespect going on there. I don't know. I know. Scoff all you want. But I think it shows that WF West can kind of beat you in multiple ways. It's been a while, I think, since we've seen WF West beat someone throwing the football. They haven't really needed to. And against Ephrata, they definitely did not want to. That was a heavy dose of Tucker Land the entire game. And here, you see him only get 9 carries. which might be like a season low or
and
close to.
Most of those, most of those were in the fourth quarter.
Right. So
beforehand, when they were running early, when they ran it with Fugate. But
right. Yeah. So I think this shows kind of the versatility. I think kind of waiting to see a game where the passing game got really unlocked. So they'll need it. They'll need it this week. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But North Kitsap has probably the best defense in the state.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But real quick, how many carries did Fugate have in that one?
I think like 8.
That's okay.
And they were all designed. I don't think he scrambled once.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that, WF West has been doing for years is when they had their star quarterbacks over the years, they would kind of lay off running them early in the season and kind of save it up for the playoffs. And then, you'd see a lot more designed quarterback runs with their big quarterbacks as the playoffs wore on. And then they'd be like, you know what, it's you got to put it all on the line here. We'll go ahead and give, our 6'3" quarterback 15, 20 carries. Why not?
Yeah.
So, maybe we'll see some more of that.
But it was a good thing to see them. I mean, they did run it up the middle of Fugate, and it didn't really work. Mm-hmm. They started off with the screens and tried to sprinkle in some runs, and the runs didn't really do much. And then they basically went away from it. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they try to run it a little bit, force the run more, but they didn't try to force it this week, as it sounds like they might have done in previous weeks. They kind of went away from what wasn't working and found what was.
Defensively, how'd they look?
They looked real good. The Cedar Woolley quarterback's name was Carson Reynolds, I think. He had himself a really good game against Tumwater. They shut that offense, which is a lot like Tumwater's, a lot of that wing tee option look, a lot of sweeps. They really shut that down early. I'm trying to remember. Cedar Woolley scored its first points late in the second quarter with like a minute left, and then WF West ripped off a 30-second touchdown drive that kind of nullified it. There were a couple of deep passes late that kind of got some offense going for Cedar Woolley, but they didn't really have those chunk plays in them, so WF West did a really good job of making them take 10, 15 plays, 4 or 5 minutes to go down the field, and then you just got to stop them once, and they did. I think they had 2 fumble recoveries. They turned them over on downs a bunch, and they really made them work for everything.
Does this strike fear into you as a semi-Bearcat fan? 37 degrees, periods of rain, 86% chance of rain, winds south by southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour, rainfall around 1/4 inch. It's the forecast for Tumwater on Saturday.
But I think what helps is that they have beaten teams running the football too.
Yeah.
So I would also say that even in that kind of weather, they can throw the football around.
Yeah.
They have a lot of really athletic receivers that you can kind of just throw swing passes to or whatever and get in space. And like Gage Brumfield has really impressed me this year.
Yeah. And the way
as a player, the way he's elevated his game. I know he stepped in as a quarterback last year at the end of last year, but the way he's kind of stepped in and really become a go-to guy, they have to bracket him. He's been that good. So, getting guys like that, the ball in their hands in that kind of weather should be slippery.
Yeah. And seeing how I was really struck by how they got the ball into Tucker Land's hands. The first couple plays were sort of the normal swing screens, like he'd start next to Fugate, he'd motion out of the backfield, he'd run probably 10 yards horizontally, and they'd throw the little the banana route to him so he catches it going forward. By the fourth quarter, when it was just they were trying to run clock and they still weren't having a ton of success up the middle, it was take the snap, and the throws were probably like me to Alec distance right here. It was just like little darts, and they probably there was a time they ran that play 3 times in a row, and each time got 5 or 6 yards. And like, that's the type of throw that rain probably isn't going to have much of an effect on.
True. Okay. We are brought to you by Goebel Septic, which provides septic service and portable sanitation for Thurston, Lewis, Mason, Cowlitz, and Grays Harbor counties. Septic pumping, inspection, and riser installation, commercial septic pumping, grease trap services. They will, of course, rent you a porta potty or a sink as well. You can learn more at goebelseptic.com. That's GOEBEL septic.com. or by calling them at 360-736-2167. Moving on to the 2B playoffs. Napavine continues to do Napavine things, beats Liberty, parentheses, Spangle, 55-7. The Tigers trailed for the first time this season. Oh, is the mystery gone? After former Rainier quarterback Jake Jeske threw a 21-yard touchdown pass on Liberty's first drive, and then Napavine scored 55 unanswered points to end the game. Ashton Demarest.
I'm sure Napavine was sweating there.
I'm sure they're like,
fans were just
shit.
Man.
Ashton Demarest was 10 of 12 passing for 172 yards with 2 touchdowns, and he ran 12 times for 131 yards, 2 more touchdowns. Cale Stanley ran for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cale Kelly, they have 2 different kids named Cale, and neither of them felt like the vegetable.
That's the secret weapon right there.
That's it, those superfoods. Cale Kelly scored a 29-yard touchdown. Jeske for Liberty was 10 for 26 passing for 118 yards. And Napavine held the Lancers to minus 15 rushing yards. Napavine's back in the state semifinals after a massive 12-month absence. They will play our old pals, Chewelah.
Dear sweet Chewelah.
Dear sweet Chewelah, Jenkins High School in the jewel of the Inland Northwest in Tumwater on Saturday. Any surprises here?
No.
Josh?
Jeske
Doesn't
just
look like it.
The way he scored his touchdown too. I mean, it wasn't fluky by any means. It was just he's a lefty, so he was rolling to his right, and like 4 Napavine guys all converged on him, and he just kind of like spun out of it to his left, and then they lost a guy, and he threw it for a 20-yard touchdown on like a strike. So
did it for the old Mountaineers.
yeah, well,
yeah.
He got on the board, and then they moved the ball a little bit, and then kind of stalled out, but. Pretty textbook Napavine win. They moved the ball at will. I mean, Demarest had over 300 yards of total offense by himself. So
pretty good.
They're rolling. This is their 8th straight year in the semis.
And in those 8 years, they've been to the finals, 4 or 5 times?
Most of the times.
Yeah.
They made it last year. They didn't make it in 2019 because they lost to Kalama, I believe. Right?
Yeah.
In overtime, right?
Yeah. And then 2018.
I can't remember. I think they had 2 against Okanagan.
They did. They lost both times.
And then who'd they beat that year? Was it Liberty?
Ritzville, I think.
They did beat Liberty in 2016.
Liberty? Okay.
Yeah, Liberty 2016. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Napavine in the semifinals.
Big shock.
Yeah. Surprise. PL Valley puts in a Clash of the Hyphens debate beyond doubt, beats Raymond South Bend 34-13. This was in Montesano on Friday night. It was by far the closest 2B quarterfinal of the weekend, and even
tells
still,
you what you need to know about the tournament so far.
Yeah, even still, it was a 21-point victory. PL Valley was up 19-6 at halftime on 2 field goals, a blocked punt touchdown, and a touchdown pass from Colton Fluke to Tyson Portman. And the ground game saw out the win for the Titans. Is that a
Saw out?
Saw out?
You see something out?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you.
Sure.
The ending of the first half was nuts because basically there was like 30 seconds left and RSP fumbled. And on 2 plays, I think this is the first 2 No, they threw 2 really short passes, but Fluke goes downfield and finds Portman for a 30-yard gain on like a crossing route and then throws like a lob to the end zone on the next play to Portman again to score to take that lead because it was pretty close. It would have been 13-6 at that point.
Yeah.
And then they failed the PAT there, but kind of a bonkers end.
You have a kicker who hits multiple field goals. Why are you going for 2?
They weren't going for 2. They missed the PAT. It got blocked or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kicked 2 field goals. I'll be damned. Good for them.
Yeah. Garrett Keaton is a stud. That kid made a 32-yarder and a 38-yarder with ease.
Wow. How progressive of them. Blake Howard had 21 carries for 118 yards, and Will Clements had 7 for 32 and a touchdown. Colton Fluke added a rushing touchdown in the second half, and the Titans are back in the semifinals for the first time since 2015. And I'm pretty sure they played Napavine in that one. Yeah, that was
It's a good bet.
That was fair. Yeah, I think that was an interesting year. Like Peel Valley had beat Napavine at home in Napavine during the regular season, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is our year," and it wasn't, but it was still a good year. Anyway, they will play Okanagan in Wenatchee.
And we'll get to that later.
We will. You know what? We'll come back to that one.
It was a good game though. PWV, that had all that we talked about last week. That had all the makings of a trap game written all over. Even Josh Fluke told me he was like he couldn't sleep all week about it. And they just dominated the line of scrimmage, hit on the passing plays when they needed to, and I think being able to dominate the special teams phase of the game in almost all of their matchups gives them such an edge over other teams.
Yeah.
You don't really have guys in the 2B ranks, even in the 1A ranks, or even sometimes in the 2A ranks that can hit field goals over 30 yards consistently. And Garrett Keaton can, and they put drives together and stalled out, and instead of going for it on 4th and 8, when they run a pretty run-heavy offense, they're like, we'll kick the field goal, and they get the points. So
that's cool.
There was another time in the second half when that led to another score where they had a drive and it stalled out because of penalties, and he punted and knocked him inside the 5-yard line. Well, they end up fumbling the ball, and PWV scores a touchdown. I mean, like, not single-handedly, but changed the game. I mean, having that kind of a weapon, and then obviously they had the blocked punt for a touchdown. So being able to win the special teams battle in every game is going to keep them. It has kept them in all these games. So.
Yeah. All right, and now for the sad portion of the show. Should we roll the dice here?
Yeah. Nope.
Oh,
nope, not it.
That's a bad one.
No,
it's the weirdness, not.
It's not green?
I'd go for it. Oh, it is.
It was. All right, it was green.
This is why you should work the soundboard.
I thought you took notes. You tested them all last week.
Yeah, that was last week.
I know. It's easy to forget. They're so colorful. And now, let's see. Toledo was shut out by Chewelah / Jenkins High School. Not a hyphen school. It's just Jenkins High School in Chewelah. 36-0.
Everyone calls them Chewelah, though.
I know, because it's like Chehalis and WF West.
But no one really calls them Chehalis. They kind of do.
Out of town, they do.
Okay.
In town, yeah. But I think even in Chewelah, everybody just calls them Chewelah. So I don't know.
Jenkins is such a boring name.
I wonder who Jenkins is.
Probably a timber
B-roll.
Anyway, the Cougars blitzed Toledo for 14 quick points, then forced a fumble on the 2-yard line to keep Toledo from getting on the board.
It was really unfortunate. From the sounds of it, Chewelah got the ball first and scored. And then on the ensuing kickoff, because this is 2B and everybody plays every snap, Austin Norris, who was like one of the up men, just took a hit trying to block somebody and got a bloody nose. So he had to come off the field for that. So they had their backup quarterback in on the very first play from scrimmage, their very first offensive play, and promptly fumbled the snap. And Chewelah picked it up and then scored again.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, 14-0.
Chewelah was up 30-0 at halftime, and Toledo finishes the season 10-2. They split its losses with a 10-game winning streak. So they opened the season with a loss and then won 10 straight. Oh, yeah, okay.
I know, it feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, that does. Say something nice about Toledo, guys.
They bounced back from what could have been a pretty derailing loss. And
in the season opener?
I think at that point, no one really knew RSB was going to be as good as they were. RSB's kind of been down in years past. So, opening the season like that could have been tough. But, they bounced back. They won league for the first time in years. They got the Kalama monkey off the back.
Got the Alaska monkey off the back.
Right. They beat Adna. They beat a lot of teams that, have traditionally given them some problems. So,
aside from the fact that the eventual loss came to an East Side team, this was the quintessential Toledo year. They lost everybody. You weren't entirely sure about them coming in. They lose a game early, and then you look down, you look back up. They're on a 10-game winning streak, and they're into the second weekend in the state tournament. Copy and paste from last year, pretty much.
Didn't lose a game against a Lewis County team.
I remember looking. I don't remember the actual number. It's the first time they've lost a playoff game to somebody outside of District 4 since I think 2015. or 2016.
Yeah.
Because it's always been Kalama or Napavine for them.
Yeah, well, pre-2018, it was all like East Side, West Side brackets. So the West Side bracket was all District 4 pretty much.
Last year was Kalama. The year before that was Napavine.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, good for Toledo. I mean, on the whole, not good to lose to Chihuahua, but they won 10 games. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the other 2B game we're worried about, Onalaska loses to Okanagan 55-0 in Wenatchee on Saturday. Turns out Okanagan is actually pretty good.
Okay, so maybe I was overhyping how much Onalaska was going to have fun.
Okanagan outgained the Loggers 456-75 and led 48-0 at halftime. Blaze Underhill led the Loggers with 36 rushing yards on 6 carries, and the Loggers, silver lining, say something nice about Onalaska, graduate just one senior. Young team.
Yeah, very young.
A lot coming back.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people expect them to be playing in the final 8 teams left in the state. Obviously, I'm sure they were thrilled with the first round draw against a Coupeville team that hadn't been in the state playoffs in a long time, but making it this far and giving they were another team that had a really tough start to the season. They lost to they had that weird half game against Orville, and then they had to schedule a last second thing with Goldendale, and they lost 20-0, and they had a really bad late season loss to Adna when they kind of controlled the game for the most part, and like a 7-6 loss. Yeah, a fumble gave Adna ball in the on a short field, and they had a field goal kicker. Again, come back to kickers and special teams. So anyway, to bounce back from all that stuff and win in the crossover again, and make it second in the league, and they graduate one senior. They're all coming back. I think that it won't be long before Ani's kind of back to where they've been and where they were. Maybe not state title contenders. I'm not sure if they're close to keeping up with Napavine, but where they were last year and competing at this stage.
I think it'll be interesting. It's not just for them. Since they were so sophomore heavy, it's not just come back with more experience, but they just need 10 months for some kids to hit their growth spurts there. Yeah. They need to get bigger.
Yeah.
And not like the weight room bigger, just the, 15-year-old growing couple inches type of
learning
bigger.
How to drive bigger.
Yeah.
They're going to literally grow into a contender.
Get some hair on the chest. And
all right. Moving on to the 1B playoffs, Bossy Rock was upset by number 5 Liberty Bell, 54-20 in Tenino. Bossy Rock was the 4 seed.
Yep. So upset in air quotes, but
yeah,
they were also undefeated.
Liberty Bell led 36-0 at halftime before Bossy Rock could get anything going. Sage Greason wound up leading the Vikings with 140 rushing yards and a touchdown. Easton Kolb had 1 passing touchdown to Keegan Kolb and ran in a touchdown as well. Liberty Bell quarterback Riley Leidy, is it?
Liddy?
Riley,
he's good.
Riley Leidy finished with 7 total touchdowns. Vikings' best season in 8-man ball comes to an end with a 10-1 record, and probably their best season in 8 or 11-man in 20-some years.
I think I think their last semifinal appearance was 1999 or 2000, something in there.
That sounds about right.
So. I was 2, so you'd be the institutional knowledge on this one.
I was in high school, and I vaguely remember something like that.
Did you lose to them?
Adna was 1A then, so no.
Oh, okay, all right.
Bossy Rock was B, I believe. Pretty sure. That would have been there's probably maybe a Bullock on that team, maybe a Willie Forrest on that team, something like that.
No Kolbs?
No, they were.
I mean, that's long enough ago. You get some dads in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe. No, I think the Kolbs maybe they were further east.
Okay.
They're
Anyway,
just westwardly migrating.
They're slowly moving towards I-5.
Easton and Keegan's kids are going to go to Adna.
Yeah. Good season by Bossy Rock. They went 10-1. Successful. Do you guys feel?
Oh yeah. I mean, they've really it's year 3 of them for 8-man, and definitely the first one that you put your hand up and say, yeah, that was a good season.
Yeah.
Anytime you beat Nacelle.
You beat Nacelle.
Yeah,
you win
I
the
think
league,
the
you go
Nacelle win was
undefeated.
huge for them. They're just hanging their hats on that. And not that they were like, that was why they lost this one or anything. But
No.
yeah, I mean,
And they don't lose. They don't lose everybody. Like they're bringing back Easton Cole.
Got some more Kolbs in the cupboard.
I don't know if they got more Kolbs, but they have Easton still. He's a sophomore this year, so they bring back at least one of their linemen. So yeah, they're not building up from scratch.
Yeah, cool. All right, good for them. Let's look at some bracket notes. So in the 2As, the higher seeds went 4-0. Cedar Woolley over Tumwater remains the only upset of the tournament. The closest quarterfinal so far was number 3 North Kitsap beating number 6 Anacortes 10-7.
10-7.
Jesus.
That's a North Kitsap game.
And then number 4 Enumclaw beat number 5 Othello 20-17. Semifinals, North Kitsap versus WF West in Tumwater, and number 4 Enumclaw versus number 1 Linden in Bellingham.
The one-loss teams versus the undefeated teams somehow.
That is mentioned number 2 of where and when the semifinals will be.
In the Tumwater. I mean, yeah, where else would they be?
Centralia, come on.
No, I checked with Dan Hill. They're not allowed to host in Centralia.
Oh. Really?
It's not. It doesn't have certification for semifinals. I think Tumwater and...
it's probably just like not big enough or something.
I think it's Tumwater and Kelso are probably the only ones in District 4.
Yeah. All right. Did the committee do okay in the 2As? You got a 1, 2, 3, 4 in there? Yeah.
I think it's weird that there are 2 one-loss teams playing in one side and 2 undefeated teams playing in the other, but
also, we joked about it when the brackets came out that like Enumclaw was that one team that like you're never really sure if they played anybody, but they ran through it. And like last year, that was Ridgefield, and I think they got knocked out in the first or second round. And this year, turns out Enumclaw, deserving of that higher seed.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
They're playing closer games, but they're still winning them.
Plus, like by the time you get to the semifinals, I mean, you got to beat. You're happy you're there. So I'm sure you probably got to beat Linden to win a state championship this year. So
yeah. I've yet to see a bracket where the best team didn't win. In the 1As,
I put these in. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Tenino's out, but the chaos continues. Number 10 Mount Baker upset number 2 Lakeside. Hold on. Sorry, number 2 Lakeside. Maybe you should have been Lakeview.
Yes. Talk about a team that ran through its league and then gets knocked out by a 10 seed.
There it is.
Number 12 Freeman upset number 4 Eatonville 23-17.
Bone Phelps, what did I tell you? I said it last week.
What did I tell you about District 4?
Bone
Overrated?
Phelps.
Just not District 4's year and anything other than
Freeman's good too. I called it. I called it last week.
And
play the tapes.
Well, and the other part with District 4 is I think it was Royal beat Montesano like
by a lot,
41-9. Turns out they're still good.
Yeah.
So the semifinals are number 3 Nooksack Valley versus number 10 Mount Baker in Bellingham and number 12 Freeman.
That's a league matchup, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They did the Kansas tiebreaker against each other.
They did do the Kansas tiebreaker against each other. I'll tell you what, I think Mount Baker could win this whole thing. I think they're the hottest team in the state. The way they played against, like, I don't even think Tenino played like all that bad in that first round game. I just think Mount Baker's on like another level.
But Royal's looking good.
Royal's looking good, but that George kid from Mount Baker, I forget his first name. He ran for like 200 yards in this latest game.
George?
Devin?
George?
I don't know. His last name is George.
Harrison?
No. His last name is George. Anyway, he's a stud. He's a stud. And their quarterback's good, and they play hard defense, and it's for those 1As that most of them run kind of a spread offense, it's tough to see those wing T teams. It's not like 2B where you're used to seeing the wing Ts, the power Ts. Like, that is a physical offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they won it all.
Okay.
As a 10 seed.
And then number 12 Freeman still has your boy.
Bone Phelps.
Good
player.
Versus the Knights of Royal.
Good player. Yeah, so we kind of have the 2 West Side teams versus the 2 East Side teams there.
Mm-hmm. If they win, do you think what paper covers Freeman? Are they going to work like a Bone Phelps and Harmony headline in there
I
somewhere?
think the spokesman quote covers them, but It's like, we'll get to Okanagan. No one covers them. So everyone was asking me during the Napavine game about score updates.
that was the thing with Chihuahua.
And I was like, I don't know. No one covers Okanagan.
I was looking for Toledo updates, and nobody was in Moses Lake.
No one covers Chihuahua. Like,
Also, it was so
schools.
far away from Chihuahua.
Well, that too.
It was. I think the
would've said Brandon,
spokesman also, quote, covers Chihuahua.
Yeah,
They do the big schools
The
over
independent covers them, but not like I don't think they had anybody at the game or anything. And also, like their coverage is very print first. They don't do a lot of internet.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, keep your hands to yourself, Josh. We've had enough of the sad trombone for now. In the 2Bs, we had 3 blowouts in the PWV RSB game, which was in parentheses only quote marks, I guess, only 3 possessions. Close game, 3 touchdowns. Onalaska over Coopville remains the only upset of the tournament. Semifinals are number 1 Napavine versus number 4 Chihuahua, parentheses Jenkins in Tumwater.
Jenkins.
And number 2 Okanagan versus number 3 PL Willapa Valley in Wenatchee. An all District 4 final is still in play, and a no District 4 final is still in play. Which is more likely? You decide. No, I want you to decide.
I wrote this, so I can't decide.
It's going to be Napavine Okanagan, I think.
I think that's been the safe bet since what, like August?
Yeah.
We'll get there once again later.
Still looks sound. In the 1B, do we think the 2B bracket was good? Yeah, I think so. If you got the top 4 all playing in semifinal weekend,
I think there was a lot of people upset about PWV being 3rd, and hopefully they've put that to rest.
I was going to go the other way. I think I was surprised at Chihuahua at 4. And I think depending on how these semifinals go, I could honestly see myself saying they should have switched them in PWV.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, you could have
I'm glad
them,
they didn't, because I like these semifinal matchups a lot better.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually ordering the 4 best teams.
If they would have switched them and we would have gotten to this and it was Napavine PL Valley in the semifinals, I would be very upset.
Exactly.
And I think Napavine and PL Valley people would also be very upset. I think Napavine would rather play Chihuahua.
Exactly.
And I think
Just so they can
Chihuahua
tweet
and
mean things at
Okanagan would
Brandon.
be upset. I think they played each other. So.
Yeah,
they did.
And I'm sure PL Valley is happier to drive to Wenatchee. And
you know what the seating committee thinks. Everybody loves league matchups in late rounds and early rounds.
Yeah, look at PWV RSB, league rivals.
People were thrilled for that one. Thrilled. How was the turnout at Montesano? Good?
Great.
A lot of people
Yeah,
there?
a lot of people
Jack
there.
Rottlefield.
All the Pacific County was there?
Apparently, PWV on their drive out there, all the RSB fans lined the
street?
roads. No, with signs that said PWV sucks, we're gonna beat you and stuff. And Fluke was just like, hey, I'm easy motivation here.
Is there driving through Raymond on their way to?
I guess.
You see all these people in this random town of checks notes, Raymond, Washington. They want you to lose to Raymond.
I don't think it was the people. I think they just put up signs and stuff. But I'm like, that's cool.
Also, it's not like Willapa Valley and Raymond are strangers or anything. I mean, they're 5 miles apart. They know each other pretty well.
Yeah. No,
I mean, Valley is closer to Raymond than it is to PL.
I think it's a very friendly rivalry, which is why I think also there's a little bittersweetness of, obviously the PWV wanted to win and that's the rival, but also knocking out those guys, most of them know each other that, yeah. So I said, all the makings of a trap game there, PWV pulled through.
Yeah, they've been playing youth sports against those kids their whole lives and things like that.
There's cousins on the other team. There's a Strozik on the school board. I'm sure he's got to be related to Cody Strozik. So
a different Strozik now.
There's
different
flukes
Stroziks.
everywhere.
It's just a fluky place.
Yeah. There's a lot of friends and whatnot between those.
And they played in the
programs
quarterfinals when they really did not need to.
Yeah.
But anyway, we talked about that.
Anyway, this podcast is brought to you by Elam's Home Furnishings.
1Bs.
Oh God, Christ, I forgot.
Elam's Furniture loves the 1Bs.
They do. How do you spell bureau with a capital 1B? You could get one to fill out your bedroom set. If you so desire, at Elam's Home Furnishing and Mattress Gallery. We will talk about the 1Bs after this ad. You can learn more at elamshf.com or just stop by their showroom at 1530 South Gold Street in Centralia. Or you can give them a call at 807-1211. Great deals, great furniture. Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery.
You could fit an entire 8-man football team on some of their couches.
You sure could. In the 1Bs, Liberty Bell beat Mossy Rock. That was the first and only upset of the tournament thus far. Although keep in mind the 2Bs and the 1Bs, only 12 teams.
Yeah.
Easier to seed those. Number 1, Odessa beat number 8, Nacelle, 76-74 in the ultimate 8-man game. Damn, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It
Honestly,
sounded like
I kind
fun.
of wish I was there.
Yeah.
It sounded electric. It was like back and forth. Like,
Well, and that was what I remember I said when the bracket first came out. It was like, no matter what the numbers are, like, if you're anywhere else in the bracket, you're really happy that Nacelle and Odessa are going to have to play each other before
And
they
ACH.
and ACH have to play you. Like, I think that is proving that Nacelle is probably the second best team in this tournament, even if they're the number 8 seed, and now nobody has to worry about them.
76-74. Just my quick math. That had 21 touchdowns in it.
Sure.
Thereabouts.
I think I saw that Nacelle had a
major.
scored and had a game tying 2-point conversion called back for like a hold.
Ah, come on. Let them keep playing. Anyway, also
Aaron screams from the bleachers.
I know. Number 3, Liberty Christian sniffed at such offenses and beat DeSalle 84-50. A lot of points.
A lot of points. I think I saw Nacelle scored a total of 138 points in its 2 playoff games and is no longer playing.
It's pretty good. We've already done the Elam's Home Furnishings ad, but it's worth reminding you to go buy some of their stuff. Other sports to watch before we get to our state semifinals preview. Soccer. What happened with Tumwater, Josh?
They lost in the cold. They went up to Shoreline Stadium for the 2A semifinals last Friday.
And then Saturday was the 3rd, 4th place game, right?
So they lost 3-1 in a decently close game to Columbia River. I think it was 1-0 at halftime. River made it 2-0 early in the second half, and then Tumwater immediately came back and made it like within a minute, scored on a penalty kick to make it 2-1, and then River added an insurance goal later, midway through. It was like the 60th minute.
Sure, it wasn't earlier.
Could have been.
Well, it was either earlier or later.
I mean, you could check my Twitter and find out for
I'm
real.
not going to do that.
Okay, well then we'll just leave it kind of ambiguous.
Okay.
Talking to Brett Bartlett after that, they were really. I mean, this was the best Tumwater team finishing wise. Already by that point, they were the best team in school history, and they were pretty gutted to lose that game. They really thought they had a shot, and I don't think Columbia River was probably pretty underseeded as the 6th seed. Just you never want to pick against them. And that Brett Bartlett was saying that was like the first time they really didn't play completely in control of a game. And I know they played a really close match against River in the district finals that just sort of broke slightly better towards them. But credit to them, they came right back out 15 hours later because that game ended at like 7, and they played the 3rd place game at 1 the next day and just completely dominated Enumclaw team. And 3rd place is the best soccer finish, boys or girls, in Tumwater history. So pretty good. And they're bringing almost everybody back, which is also pretty good.
All right. And then you say Columbia River went on to win the championship?
Yep.
And that this was a fun tournament. Explain.
Well, started with 16 beating 1, which is always a good sign. And then 5 upsets. I think the final 4 was number 2, Tumwater, number 6, River, number 9, Enumclaw, and I think Seaholm was number 4 or 5. So that's a fun final 4 right there.
It's not fun if you're the seating committee. You got to be watching this going, Jesus, we really shit the bed.
Chaos is always fun.
I think it's hard to seed soccer in particular because really anything can happen. I mean, I remember Adna beating the brakes off of number 1 Okanagan, and Adna was like the 8th seed or something. And then they make a run to the state title game.
Do you really watch March Madness? And anytime there's an upset,
you're like, oh, this seating committee really messed us up when Austin P beat Duke.
If I was on the seating committee, then yes, I would be like, oh, God.
Yeah, I don't think they're happy then, ever.
When I actually
consider this, Aaron, I am not on the seating committee.
No, so you can enjoy it.
Yes.
No, but when I was on the seating committee at like one of our meetings, I was like, look, guys, if there's upsets, like we look like assholes. And they're like, no, it just means it's a good tournament. It's like, no, it means we failed. There was not a lot of upsets in our brackets.
Oh, you failed.
Anyway, volleyball, some stuff happened.
Black Hills went to Yakima for the first time since 2017. Got the 16-1 matchup against Linden, then lost. The first set was, I think it was 25-10, 25-17, 25-17, something like that. got a 5-hour layover because for some reason they
started the second match at 8 p.m. and the first one was at noon. What are we doing here?
And they weren't the last match on that court. There was a match after that. I think I saw Micah Rice was there for the Colombian, and he had a game start at 10.
Terrible.
And it was like a state semifinal. It was a state quarterfinal. The last window of matches in the 2A tournament on day one was scheduled to start at 8:45. And
you're just
of course
begging for trouble with that.
Didn't. Yeah. Then they lost to White River. Black Hills, White River, fun color clash there. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah. They lost and they were out. And then they got the District 4 rematch that everybody in District 4 saw coming, and River beat Ridgefield in the state title game. Shocker.
Columbia River won soccer and volleyball?
Yeah.
Going to be good at basketball?
No.
No,
Really?
I don't think so, yeah.
All right.
No, this is kind of it for River.
It's all
Well, they have
downhill for the
baseball.
rest of the year.
Oh, their baseball team is quite good.
They got baseball, but pretty much this is the glory for
Peaked
River.
in the fall. All right. Before we get to our state semifinal preview, I remind
Take
you
3.
that if you are either too hot or too cold, call AmeriCool Heating and Cooling. You can call their emergency service line at 360-273-3300. You can request an appointment through the link at west.americoolonline.com. And remember, your comfort is their business. Alec, you comfortable?
We could use new chairs in here.
Well, that's a different ad, sir. If you are too hot or too cold, call AmeriCool Heating and Cooling. Full service HVAC installation services and repair with a 100% satisfaction guarantee on everything they do. And with
But I thought this was the Global Septic ad.
There's a leak in the roof.
This bit. No, there's not.
It's a good bit.
This is. Oh yeah, Schwartz wanted us to mention some news. Do you guys want to talk about news?
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah. Show the guy taking off the headset meme.
Yeah. No, thank you. It's Thanksgiving. There's no news.
No.
State semifinal preview: WFS versus North Kitsap. When is the game, Josh?
It's Saturday
Where?
at Tumwater.
When?
Saturday.
Yeah, but what time?
Oh, 4.
Yeah.
4 p.m.
This will be fun. As Alex said, North Kitsap, probably the best defense in the state. Dan Hill called them probably the biggest team in the state. Definitely in 2A, possibly regardless of classification.
Well, give me some example. Well, okay, never mind. I'm going to look it up.
They've given up more than 10 points once. They've played 12 games. They've pitched six shutouts. They gave up 14 points to Mount Tahoma, who I believe is a 3A team. And then since then have not given up more than 7 points to an opposing offense, because their lone loss was 8-6 against Tumwater, but 2 of Tumwater's points came on a safety. They lost 8-6 to Tumwater. They just beat Anacortes 10-7. Their offense sometimes struggles apparently, but their defense has yet to struggle. I think they had 6 takeaways against Anacortes.
They did, yeah.
They only gained like 170 yards on offense, but they got 6 takeaways. It'll really be like, I would see that I could see Dan Hill pretty much not quite copying the game plan as they used against Cedar Woolley, but as good as WFS line has been, I think the name of the game is going to be getting the ball away from the line of scrimmage as fast as possible.
Force guys to tackle in space.
And then also getting the downfield passing game, showing it early. Like you don't need to hit your 30-yard passes downfield, but you just need to do it enough times that the safeties have to play back. Because watching when North Kitsap played against Tumwater, and it was 8-6, and North Kitsap missed 3 field goals, so they should have won it. Tumwater didn't have that downfield passing game, and North Kitsap just stacked the box over and over and over again. If they can do that against WFS, I like North Kitsap in this game. But if WFS can force them to keep their corners wide, keep their safeties back, keep them from playing more than 6 or 7 guys in the box, that's going to be WFS game. Mm-hmm. They're coming back healthier. WFS receiving core is kind of grown by necessity. They had a bunch of guys they liked at the beginning of the season. All of them got hurt. Brumfield's been dealing with an injury. Christian Amoroso has been hurt. Cameron, sorry.
You're good.
Cameron Amoroso, he got hurt against Tumwater. Brumfield's getting healthier and healthier. He's played almost every game, but he is back pretty much full go. Amoroso suited up but didn't play against Cedar Woolley, but it sounds like he's going to be back at least in a limited capacity for a couple plays. But in their absence, Cody Pennington stepped up. He's taken on a greater role. He's also the kicker, and he's done pretty good at that. Ross Kelly caught a couple passes against Cedar Woolley. Tucker Land's really become the number 2 option on that catching the ball. They got weapons, and they're going to need another pretty good game from all of those weapons. The more multiple they are, the better they are, and the better of a chance they have.
Here's a couple linemen for North Kitsap. Let's see. Elliot Wallace, 6 foot 263. Jesus Marez, 6'2", 270. Enders Vilolo, what a name. 6'4", 280. Nate Thornton, 6'6", 270.
They're large.
Ryan Chalupka, 6'1", 250. Cade Brown, 6'5", 280. Nathan Redmond, 6'5", 280. Sofian Hamu, 6'5", 260. Gabriel Smith, 6'4", 305. Some stout fellas.
Yeah.
Big. That's big.
And I mean, you've got the roster up here. I couldn't tell you who's starting from them. It doesn't sound like their linebackers or defensive backs are especially tiny either, but you've got a better chance going up in some one-on-one battles against them just in space, because the wide receivers against Cedar Woolley, they had a really good game blocking in space. And yeah, it'll be a good game. I think it will. I think WF West is going to be able to put some points up there. Honestly, I think it's WF West wants to find out whether North Kitsap can keep up with them on offense. That's really going to be the game. If WF West can find the success, North Kitsap has played 2 very good teams and has scored a total of 16 points against them. So that's the game that WF West wants to find out whether they can keep up with them.
Yeah. They want a race, not a fist fight.
Exactly.
All right. In the 2Bs, number 1 Napavine versus number 4 Chewelah.
Where?
At Tumwater.
When?
Saturday, 1 o'clock.
Yep.
A nice little doubleheader up there in Tumwater.
We will be there.
Good football.
Get yourself a McConey sandwich. Go watch some football.
Don't they have like
that is a really good double.
Do they sell the T-Bird dogs or whatever they call them?
Probably
What?
not.
Thunder dogs. That's what they're
is that a
called.
thing?
Yeah, that's what they sell at the concession stands.
Sounds mid.
Thunder dogs.
Kid Ottenfield, is that what you're calling it?
Kate Ottenfield?
Aaron's words, not mine.
No.
Don't speak ill of the great.
Sit on. He was great. Number 1 Napavine at number 4 Chewelah. Let's go back to what we did last week. What do you guys think the over/under is for this game?
High.
60?
Yeah, 65.
65?
I'll be interested. When Mike Christensen kept talking up Chewelah when I talked to him for the preview, I was like, okay. And then everything he talked about came up, and the thing he kept coming back to is Chewelah is big. If you want to find their roster,
I will.
They are also
Josh Fay said the same stuff this week.
They're not North Kitsap big. They are 2B big. Mike Christensen kept talking about them having just everybody's 190 pounds, 200 pounds.
Is that big?
But what makes them different, they spread it out.
And they spread it out.
So Napavine doesn't see many teams that like to do exactly what Napavine likes to do, and Chewelah does what Napavine likes to do on offense. So really what Josh Fay was saying was it's about balancing their defensive resources to where you don't want to give it up when they're tossing it around, but also you don't want to give it up because they have an 1,000-yard rusher. You like this name. It's like Cruz Katzner or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got over 1,000 yards rushing. Their quarterback likes to sling it around. The quarterback likes to run. So they are very versatile.
I mean, I think when you're facing a big team, Napavine's in a lot better situation than Toledo is, because Toledo's the same as Ani. When Toledo is that much smaller than the other team, and also packing 11 guys between the hash marks, togetherness and spirit and heart is really only going to go so far when you're giving up 40 pounds to everybody on the other side. and you're letting them pack it in. Napavine's not going to let them do that. So I will believe somebody can stop the Napavine offense when I see it happen, but I think that it'll be another one. Napavine doesn't want to find out whether Chihuahua can keep up with them.
No. And I imagine Chihuahua will probably get through a couple times for some touchdowns, but I imagine this will probably go similarly to last week. I agree with Josh. Until someone can even remotely begin to stop the Napavine offense, I do not think anyone can.
Yeah.
Maybe until Okanagan. And really it's just a matter of, can this defense, Napavine defense, pass the test yet again against another different looking kind of offense. And I think they will. I think they'll handle this pretty well and get into the state title game.
And they need to avoid the nightmare start that Toledo had. Like it was, even if it was a fluke, you can't give up a touchdown.
Points.
Yeah, you can't be chasing points. You can't give up a touchdown, have something weird happen, suddenly you don't have the ball, and suddenly they're looking at going up multiple possessions.
Yeah. Chihuahua they put up plenty of points this year. 46, 41, 26.
They've scored over 30 in 6 of their games.
Yeah. They
which is
did
pretty
lose
good.
to Okanagan 34-7.
Which is the closest game Okanagan has played all year. Mm-hmm. As a little precursor to the other semifinal we're going to talk about.
They did beat Brewster 20-14. Close game. Doesn't strike fear into me. I don't know about you guys. I'm not scared of Brewster.
I don't know. It's just there's so many unknowns with a team
yeah.
like Chihuahua, and we didn't get stats reported for the Toledo game. So I heard that Katzer kid rushed for like 170 yards against Toledo. So they got some guys, and they have some size. And, the one thing about Napavine is they do have size. I don't think it's overwhelming size like they kind of had last year. They kind of rely a lot more on guys who are still very big, but also very fast.
Yeah.
They got receivers on the outside that are 6'4" and have blazing speed. So really that's where they kind of get past teams is comparable size and just overwhelming speed.
Yeah.
The way they run their offense and even their defense, the way it flies to the ball. So I would imagine this will be, I don't want to say it's another running clock win, but it will be.
But it might be.
It might be, and I do think it'll be not in question by the third quarter.
I like the balancing of resources statement in that one. A true guns versus butter debate.
Guns and butter debate, yeah.
Yeah.
We had stuff and things in my college intro to political economy class.
Stuff and things. I'm at Centralia College.
It's wild. It was taught.
Guns versus butter. Damn it!
It was taught by a diehard libertarian who always wore a 3-piece suit and a cowboy hat. So you think he'd be into guns and butter? But wasn't.
Yeah.
Shout out Tony Gill.
You learn that kind of thing in Lewis County.
I did
You're
not
damn
like Tony
straight.
Gill. He was the one that was like, "I'm not making you buy my book because I want money. I'm making you buy my book because it's an eye into my thinking." And it's like, just shut up and say you're trying to make us buy the book to get royalty
Sell me
money.
the PDF, then, you coward.
See, he gave me his book for free because I answered a question correctly in class one time.
Oh wow! Congrats.
Yeah. So I didn't have to pay him.
I just didn't buy the
phenomenal
book.
content we're laying down here. The other 2B semifinal, PL Valley at number 2 Okanagan at the Apple Bowl in Wenatchee, Saturday at noon. Fellas, what's the Apple Bowl like? Have you ever been there?
No idea. Luke said it was a good little venue.
Ask Trey
I believe
Adams.
So,
PL Valley, do they have a shot versus Okanagan?
I think this one will.
I don't know. I think it's tough. PWV is another one of those teams that's undersized.
Yeah.
And you want to look at 2A, 4A, 3A size on the line. Look at Okanagan's line. They have like 5 guys over 300 pounds. It's absurd. Their quarterback is 6'6", 230 or something. So overwhelming size. PWV will have to play a pretty immaculate game if they want to win.
And they're not spreading out a ton, are they?
Okanagan?
No, PWV.
Oh, no, they run wing team.
Exactly. So they're one of those teams where you pack everybody in and then you look across the line. And
The one thing about PWV that sort of separates them, because Ani, they pack it in and all they can do is pound the rock. They can hit the outside, they can run on the outside, but it all starts in the middle. What kind of changes about PWV is, one, they are really physical, even with their kind of smaller size, and they can beat you over the top. They've done it against RSB. They've done it against a bunch of other teams. If they can sort of get some passes off on untraditional passing downs, at least for 2B. Like spring a pass on first down, spring a pass on a second down.
What?
I know. But if they can do some of those things, I think that they would have a shot at the upset. But I mean, Okanagan, there's a reason Okanagan's undefeated and hasn't been tested this year.
Offensive lineman, what was it? Tristan Shiflett, 6'5", 330.
Yeah.
Their quarterback is sophomore Carter Kuchenbuck, and he has completed 55 passes for 109 yards.
He is 6'6", 220.
With 882 yards with 15 touchdowns and just one interception this year.
He's a 6'6" quarterback that weighs 220 pounds.
according to Max Preps.
Well,
It's a sophomore.
they're lying. I'm on their
Either way,
official
he's taller
roster.
than all of us and everyone on the PWV roster.
Yeah, they got a 6'4"
They got a
receiver.
kid named Johnny Swartzel.
Yes.
As their star running back.
Yep.
He's run for 884 yards and 18 touchdowns.
1,000 yards now, but yeah.
Well, this was only in 7 games, according to Max Preps, who never lies.
Okay.
Has never been incorrect about anything.
He has over 1,000 yards.
Okay, well, good for him. Yeah, they got some boys. They got some big, some dudes.
They're huge, but another team that Okanagan hasn't really been pushed around all year by anybody. So if PWV can kind of control the line of scrimmage the best they can and spring a couple pass plays,
Get into field goal range.
I really think special teams is huge. Like I don't know what Okanagan's special teams situation looks like, but if you can put a drive together and just get points on the board, you can stay in the game. If you can block a punt here, if you can pin them down at the 1.
I think it's going to be more whether they can stop Okanagan.
It's tough. Okanagan's another one of those teams. They don't get a lot of coverage, so you don't really know until they, you see them and you play them. But Josh Fluke was saying they're big and they run everything, execute everything really well. They're a good football team, so I think I would take Okanagan to win this game. I think it's a daunting task for PWV, but you never know. That's why you have to play the game, right?
That is why you play the games.
That is
just
what
like
Josh
coaches
Fluke
always
told me.
say. Yeah.
He gave me some coach speak there. So.
Oh, good. Josh Fluke. Miss that guy. What's your guys' plan for Saturday? You both just going up for both games? Who's shooting what? Who's covered what?
No clue.
Well, Josh will probably be the main guy on WFS, and I'll probably be the main on Napavine. We're not sure if we're gonna split up photo duties or whatever yet. I'll probably
up there to shoot both of them.
Huh?
Get Carl up there to shoot both of them.
Crawler's doing a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
Carl's going to spend 6 hours in Tumwater with us.
Yeah, come on. Well, I'm not gonna ask. We're just gonna go to both
This is
games.
big stuff.
You going to come?
On Saturday?
Yeah.
Write a column. Come on.
No, maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Looking at
Everyone
the possibility
listening,
of the-
pressure Aaron into
Looking
going.
at the possibility of the best WFS team ever.
Since the last, I covered their last team. that made the
Exactly. Don't you want your
semifinals.
it all to
but
come
if
full
they-
circle?
If they win,
Yeah, that would be the best team ever statistically, or finish wise.
You don't want to watch
Maybe
Dear
I'll go up
Sweet
there.
Chuila?
I do kind of want to go see Dear Sweet Chuila. Just like send Brandon pictures, be like,
You're missing out on this.
"You missed this."
Cruz Katzer. Come on.
This is a sick name.
Yeah, it is.
Dear Sweet Cholula does sound like a good indie movie that Alec would like.
Dear Sweet. What would the
That's
plot
an
of Dear
that's an
Sweet Chuila be?
A24
Like,
movie.
Yeah.
It's an A24 movie where a disgraced journalist played by
Someone weird.
who played Peggy Olson on Mad Men? Elizabeth Moss. Like Elizabeth
Yeah.
Moss moves to town and meets a weird local who runs a hardware store, and it's Joaquin Phoenix, and they fall in love, but they find out they have significant differences in how they view money or guns versus butter. Oh God, it's
Man,
A24.
we're really
Collins.
spitballing here. Don't steal any of these ideas, Hollywood executives.
And he's got a kooky friend played by your favorite actor, Harry Styles.
Ugh. It's just going to be one of those movies that makes you go to the theaters and you're like, this is one of those
This is
movies.
cinema.
100%
This is a movie.
would be black and white.
Yeah, for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah. We could get Eggers to do something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure Eggers would take
We're
that
like a
on
witch in there.
after. Anything else you guys want to talk about? What's you got basketball previews coming up? When's basketball season start?
Next
Monday. Jesus. Yeah, it's horrible. I love basketball season, but God. Way too soon. I went up to WF West practice. There was no one there. I imagine Rex Stanley just out there with like two guys like, all right, let's run some suicides.
Just like throws the ball and blows his whistle and it just bounces across an empty court.
It's Rex Stanley.
It's like
basketball
who was the Simpsons guy who throws the frisbee and nobody does catch it and he runs after it, picks it up?
Milhouse,
yeah. Throws tosses the ball. It just sort of bounces down until it hits the wall and kind of stops, and he walks over and picks it up.
It's every day for Rex at practice is like the Last Man on Earth show.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got
right at the end. This is how you know it's gone too long.
Yep.
Yeah, we can close it out now. Thanks for listening and go watch some football.